Hey, Jakka-B here and welcome back to my tutorial series. So this is one I've wanted to do for some time. I want to show you guys how you can make a nice, clean and tight UK/happy hardcore kick drum in Serum. This is the sound design only, so no additional processing except for that's used in Serum. If you can't be bothered to watch this tutorial, you can skip it and you can grab the preset, which is out now in my Serum Volume 2 preset pack. The link for that is in the description. Also, I will let you guys know I've just set a Patreon up, which you can join and you can get access to exclusive tutorials, feedback on your tunes, tuition, and unique monthly sample and MIDI packs. The link for that's also in the description as well. Anyway, let's jump in. Hello and welcome to my kick drum tutorial. So for those of you who have watched my tutorial series before, you'll notice a little refresh on the artwork and also slightly improved audio quality as well. So I'm going to call this a little bit of a refresh to the tutorial series. Okay, so let's jump into the sound design element then. So if you are familiar with UK/happy hardcore, you know that the kick drum is kind of like the, a good kick is kind of like the holy grail. The genre's kick led. Having a good solid kick is a massively important part of having a well produced track. The benefits of sound designing it in something like Serum as opposed to using a sample is you can pitch the key of your kick to the key of your track. So the kick is essentially made up of two separate parts, which is what we're going to be doing in the sound design. The first is the attack, which is this bit. And the second is the sub or the punch. Together, it sounds like this. So first things first, load in a Serum and initialize the patch. This one's already initialized. And then draw a MIDI clip. I've put it in F3 and that's half a beat long. The reason I've done it at this length is just to allow, usually in this particular genre or a lot of dance music genres, the bass would sit around here, it would be sidechained or it'd be an offbeat bass. So it just allows that kind of kick bass combo by having the MIDI at that length, and we can also shape the kick to that length as well. The first thing we're going to do is create the attack using oscillator A and the noise oscillator. So first of all, I'm going to bring this two oscillators down, and from default I'm going to go to basic shapes and I'm going to pick a square wave. That currently sounds like this. So absolutely nothing like what we want at the moment, which is fine. So also bring the phase and the random down. I find bringing the random down means every time it hits you get a consistent sound. And the phase, I'll explain a bit later, it just kind of, I feel like you get a slightly nicer tone when it's down for the attack. So first thing we're going to do is put an envelope onto the volume. So envelope 3, turn that down, envelope 3 onto the volume, release all the way down, sustain all the way down, and the decay at around 13 to 15 milliseconds. So at the moment it's a very faint sound, you won't be able to hear it that well unless you've got maybe headphones on. And then we're going to put an LFO onto the coarse pitch. Again, quite a tight one. There, now you can hear that click. So it goes all the way up to 100, just off the bat there. So now when I play it, it's still very quiet, but you can hear that kind of attack of a kick coming through. Next up, we'll switch on the noise oscillator and turn on to bright white. Turn the volume down, and we're going to use envelope 2 to control the level of the volume of the noise oscillator. So put it around there to start with. So at the moment it just sounds like white noise. So again with this, release down, sustain. I'm going to put to about 7 or 8% for now. About there, it's fine. And then the decay down to, try it from 50 and just bring it down as I go. And you can tell when I play that, that's giving it the kind of the high end and some extra additional harmonics which you didn't get from the kind of subby punch. What I'm then going to do is switch on filter, and I'm going to route just oscillator A, which is already on, and the noise oscillator to a EQ, high EQ 6, drive it. And what that's essentially doing is it's not actually filtering it, it's just driving the volume up. And that gives you a kind of louder clicking sound. So when you're sound designing a kick, you can use different shapes, but I find that the square with this kind of LFO, you just get a kind of nicer attacking sound that you'd want for hardcore. So that's why I've got it on the square. Let's get that nice and tight. Okay, good stuff. So the attack is fairly simple, to be honest with you. You're just using the two filters to control the volumes of both the noise oscillator, the noise oscillator and oscillator A, and the LFO to control the pitch. Sounds easy, doesn't it? So onto the sub, which is oscillator B. First of all, we're going to use analog and then analog BD sine. The reason I've used this one is I read that you kind of got a similar tone to like the 909 kick, which is obviously a famous kind of like dance music kick, a famous kick drum. So I just feel like it'd be nice to have something that's kind of close to that, and you can shape that as you wish. I think here's probably a good shout. So again, for this, we're going to use envelope 2 to control the coarse pitch, and we're going to shape that. Oh, put that the wrong way. So around plus 66, 68. This is where scope comes in handy. I don't know of another one which is kind of as good as this for actually viewing the waveform, but I'm sure there is another plugin out there. So it's starting to take the shape of a kick, just not the kick that we're kind of chasing here. So LFO 3. So I just wanted to add actually just to put the trigger on there for those two. LFO 3 is going to control the volume of the sub, and the reason that that's on there is because we want to make sure that the sub doesn't hit the same time as the attack. So by shaping, having something to shape the volume, we can just wriggle this here to make sure that the attack doesn't hit with the sub. You can see if I move this across, it will change the shape of the kick. By just zooming in, you can kind of see where the attack is crossing over with the sub and just get that right. So next up, I'm going to put LFO 4 on to the global amplitude or the master volume. Amp, there we go. And we're just going to shape that to the shape, basically to the shape of a kick, I guess. So you can see there, like, vaguely that does represent the shape of a kick. So we're just doing that to make sure that the kick is nice and tight, especially there, so it doesn't bleed into what we'd want, where the bass would sit. Okay, so once we've got the LFOs all in place, we can then move on to the effects. So looking at the shape of the kick now, it's getting there, but it's not quite right. So first of all, in the effects, our good old friend Distortion and the soft clip. So when I press play on that, you can see it's completely tamed the kind of dynamics of the kick. Next up, EQ. I'm going to drag that up here. So both of these are going to be on the notch. First of all, doing some low end. And then on to this one. So I just want to shape the kick slightly, go back into LFO2 a sec. Something I forgot to mention was also to turn down the random and the phase on LFO, on oscillator B as well. That also needs to be done. That's so you get a consistent sound, which I wasn't getting a second ago. And so I've just gone back into the shaped LFO1 slightly as well. It's a case of kind of once you start to get the effects, once you start to add the effects in, then you might need to adjust some of these just to kind of get like the right kind of feel for what you're after. Finally, I'm going to add some compression in. Threshold down to around 12, ratio 2 to 1. So attack down to around 35-ish. Release around 11. And we're going to drive the gain slightly on it. Okay, so we're getting there now. I just want to turn it down slightly on the main channel here. Okay, so you can see from the shape, it's very similar to this one here. It's a bit loud, that. Let me turn that down as well. So I think what we're going to do is use the envelope to just turn the sub down slightly. And that's another great thing about using the having an LFO on the volume of the oscillator. You can do that as well. So I mean, you can turn it down completely. And then possibly, I think we're going to take out some of the sound of the kind of closed hat / white noise sound. Okay, so I've settled on that around 50. Now we've got everything in there, it's kind of a case of just balancing out all the different elements just to get the kind of right feel and sound. And also, once you've kind of got the once you've got EQs and internal effects on distortion and compression, like the slightest movement in the LFOs kind of really changes the tone of the kick. There we go. So that's it as far as I'm concerned. I think that's sounding yeah, pretty UK hardcore if you ask me. Nice and tight, and you can change the key as well. So it's in an F3 at the moment. I mean, with changing it too drastically, you know, it's worth thinking about reshaping the some of the LFOs there. But essentially, that is how you make a banging modern UK / happy hardcore kick in 2021 in Serum without the need for any processing. But of course, if you want to add some things like EQ or additional distortion, saturation, clipping, things like that, then go for it. You might get you know, the sound that you're after. But yeah, that's essentially it. There is this sample plus tons of other ones in my Serum Pack, which I'll just flick through now and show you. So my Serum Volume 2 pack consists of all of these samples here. You've got basses, drum sounds, effects, leads, pads, and plucks. And there's lots of other different kicks in there as well as lots of other sounds that will hopefully help you with your production. The link for those is in the description. Thanks for listening to this. If you enjoyed it, feel free to subscribe, tell your friends, etc. And if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments. Thanks for watching.